Greetings. Welcome to Just Read It. And we're coming to you from Laurelhurst Village, which is a residential assisted living facility in Portland, Oregon. And what we do is we talk about books that we've read and sort of issue our opinions on it. With me today is Carolyn Miller. She's a writer of Gothic suspense novels, and Jason Reynolds, who is a poet and writer of novels. And I am Susan Stoner, and I write historical mysteries of the Pacific Northwest. The book that we're going to talk about today is called Orphan Master, and it's written by Adam Johnson. And Jason, would you like to start with your opinion of that book?
Sure. If you're a masochist, I highly recommend it. It won every award known to man, including the Pulitzer Prize, and every book reviewer from the Wall Street Journal to the LA Times loved this book. They must have been delusional. It's set in North Korea. If you want to spend 10 days in North Korea, read it. It's the best example of why you should not live in a totalitarian country because, among other things, it's boring. The people have no life of their own, and it grinds you down as if you were really a resident of North Korea. Wish it had been set in Russia, it might have been interesting, but it's the best example of why you should protect your freedoms, because otherwise you'll end up like North Korea, where the only thing you can do that's any use at all is try to escape, and then you'll be tortured to death when they catch you, which, given the culture that you're in, that's described in this book, is not a bad ending.
I'll just pitch in if I can. I could say I agree with everything you have to say. I mean, it is an all-time low. But structurally, is it a crafted novel? And in one sense, you know, the nouns and the verbs all work together. But it is not a crafted novel because you don't give a fig about these characters. Classic example, the central hero, John Doe, cares for nobody. His profession is a professional kidnapper for the government. He cares about no one. He has no emotions. He goes out on a fishing boat. Somebody tattoos a movie star's face on him, and he falls in love with this face. And in the end, he allows himself or gives up his life to save this woman with whom he has had no real meaningful relationship. So what we have are characters kind of dragged around through misery. And I agree with you, Jason. It must have been a political intrigue that got that book the Pulitzer Prize.
Or they wanted to give the point that the only freedom you can have is fantasy.
Well, I guess I saw value in the book. I thought that it was sort of a story about the triumph of somebody who went from having no humanity to sort of discovering his humanity. That said, I also had problems with it. Mine were a little more political in that my concern was that I was being fed propaganda about North Korea. Later on, after I read it, I discovered that he had read transcripts of defectors from North Korea. And I think that alone says that it would be skewed because these are folks who are seeking asylum.
Yeah.
And the other problem I had with it is that John Doe, he was somebody who was in the heart of perpetuating the totalitarianism and the cruelty of this North Korean society. So he wasn't an ordinary person, and you never got a sense of what an ordinary person would be experiencing that. He was an orphan who apparently was used like a tool by the regime.
I didn't care about him. I didn't care about any of them. I mean, it was like...
Well, where did he find his humanity? What motive in the book do we have that he suddenly finds his humanity?
He falls in love with a fantasy.
He's a misery, and then suddenly he gives up his life for this woman.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You know, I kept contrasting it in my head with a book called To Destroy You Is No Loss, It was written by a woman, and it was an autobiography that Joan Criddle did for this woman who was in Cambodia and went through the whole Khmer Rouge thing. And it also was a triumph of humanity. But what you saw throughout the whole book was little peeps of humanity.
Yeah.
One of the things that they did is in the fields where they were forced to work as slaves, they came up with songs that actually, it was just exactly what the blacks in the South had done to reaffirm their humanity. So throughout the whole book, no matter how horrific it got, there was those glimmers of humanity shining through.
But
And
not
that was
in
missing.
this book.
That
Not
was
in this
missing
book.
in this book.
You just have to believe at the end that somehow he saw the light. And there's a secondary character who is supposed to be his torturer, remember?
Yeah.
And he goes off and kills his parents out of some humanity with one hoe. And you're asking, when did those two ever get together except on a torture table? I mean, it makes no sense.
I was totally mystified by anyone's motivation in this book. It's like he was trying to say that they have the same ambitions and the same feelings as the rest of us, and disproved it completely.
What I did when I was reading it is there were parts of it where I actually had to stop and play my guitar just to kind of touch base with being human and finding beauty in the world because it was so grim.
It's, if you want beauty and love sucked out of you, this is the book. And I think really it's a time to vote, right?
Okay, you can go first. You're the eager beaver.
We've got red marbles here for read it, and blue marbles for skip it. I don't think there's any doubt on how I'm going to vote.
There's no.
Okay, well, this is a hard one because for me there were interesting things I didn't know might be happening in North Korea according to the defectors, but I guess I would have to say.
Like what?
Skip it.
That was your humanity that just came through.
You learned something that you didn't know about North Korea?
Well, I didn't know they tunnel. I didn't know they used orphans to tunnel under. I didn't know.
Okay.
I knew they were kidnapping people from Japan, but I didn't know that. I didn't know some of the other stuff.
Okay.
So.
Well, our 10 minutes have passed.
It's up. Yeah.
Thank you very much for paying attention, and I hope that you enjoyed the talk. Thank you.